Hello and welcome back. Let us continue our journey in edit mode. In the previous session, we had explored how by pressing tab we can enter into the object data or object edit mode, and we had explored the first tool here, which is this extrude region. We had explored all these tools. Now apart from this, you have inset faces, you have bevel, you have loop cut, you have knife, poly build, spin, smooth. So you have all these features available here, and to explore this one by one, let us start working on a project, and as we work with the project, let us explore these tools one by one. So for this, we are now going to start our work with building a structure, the structure of Brindavan. So if you have heard about a sacred place called Mantralaya, people worship a samadhi of Sri Raghavendra, which is constructed in the form of a Brindavan. I have a reference photo of it over here. This is the structure that we are going to model in our future classes. So now let us use this photograph as the reference to build our structure. So to begin with, now let us come back to Blender. We are in edit mode. Press tab to come back to object mode. Press X and delete this cube. Now to start with, we need this reference image to be used in our Blender. So for this, if you come to add, in the add section, you have one section called as image. You have two facilities available here, reference and background. Choose reference. So the image file is here. Now once you download and insert it, so this is inserted in the view that you are seeing. So this is facing this perspective view. However, if I rotate and see it, this is rotated in some wrong axis. So for this, I will select this. So this will be imported as an empty. In the outliner, this will be named as empty. I will double click it and let us name it as reference image. And then let us select this image. Press N on your keyboard to open this panel, and here in the rotation, click and drag to select all the three values and press 0. So when you make all this axis 0, this image will be actually placed in the top view. Now if I press numpad 7, the image appears from the top orthographic view, but I want this from the front orthographic view. So I will press numpad 1 to come to front orthographic view. I will press R and then press X and rotate 90 and press enter. Now the thing is, when we are doing this modeling, we want this model to be modeled at a scale of 1:1. That is, our model should match the exact size of our structure. So for this, we should know at least one dimension of the actual structure. So actually in this structure, if you see this overall width, this is around 1 meter. Let us press numpad 7 and with this reference image selected, press G and Y and move it a little back so that it doesn't disturb our model over here. Then press numpad 1 and come to front view. Now I will press Shift A and I am going to add a cube. Now in the parameters of this cube, I will set its size to 1 meter. Right now, the origin point of this cube is at the center. So you can see this orange mark which represents its origin point. I want this origin point to the base. Press tab, come into edit mode, press A to select everything, then press G and Z and type 0.5. Because this size is 1 meter, to move it by half the distance from the center to here, this is 0.5. So we moved it along the Z axis by 0.5 meters, and so now our model starts exactly from the origin line. Now press tab back and come back to object mode. You enable this X-ray view and then select the image and press S and scale it down. Press G to move it. You roll the mouse, middle mouse to zoom in, then again press S, scale it, press G to move it, and see that this model fits almost into the size of this cube. So that now this horizontal length is 1 meter, and also see that this model also starts from the origin line. So let us align it to the origin line approximately like this. So let us align it something. Okay, if required, I will just press S and scale it a little. Okay, I will scale it a little so that it fills this area. Okay, this is fine. So with this setting done, now I doesn't want this reference image to be moved accidentally. I want to lock all the transformation of this reference image. So for this, if you come to the outliner window, on the top right hand side you have one filter menu. If you open this, you have various toggles available here, and I will select this select toggle. Now you have this select toggle added in the list, and for this reference image, if you click on this reference image, this arrow toggle, it toggles out, and now you cannot select and move it. So this is now totally locked. And then let us select this cube and let us double click it and name it as the main structure. And after you name it as main structure, now our next job is to build this structure, rough structure, by using the edit mode tools. So now I will switch off this X-ray toggle mode. For our model to look in a better way, when you are in solid view, I will click on this arrow over here and I will enable an option called cavity, and in cavity I will choose both. So this will make the edges and corners look more brighter and better, and this will be helpful for our modeling. So after this, now I will press the tab button and enter into edit mode. Now with middle mouse pressed, I will just rotate it, and with the face selection tool I will select the top face, and then again press number 1 and come to the front view. Now I will press G and Z to move it along the x axis, so that it comes and sits exactly over the first step over here. I will move it exactly till here. So this is our first piece of structure. Now for the second piece, this size has to be reduced a little. Now for this, I am going to middle click the mouse, drag it, and with this face selected, now if I want to scale this down, there are two ways of doing it. See, before I do it, as I build this model, have a look on this vertices count. Right now this has 8 vertices, out of which 4 is selected. Okay, I will press E, and after I press E, I will right click it, so that the new 4 faces vertices created. See, now it became 12. So now the new 4 faces created are sitting exactly at the same place. Now I will press scale, and if I move it, you can see the size is going to decrease. I will reduce the size and I will select the values here and press 0.9. Now I got this inset. However, instead of making this face extrude and then reduce the size using scale. All this operation can be done with one tool, and for this purpose we make use of this second tool in this list, which is called as inset faces. Now, the same effect we can achieve it using inset faces. So, for this I will undo the scale. See, most of the common mistake we normally do is, as soon as we undid this scale, we think that the model has now returned to the original stage. But what has happened is, we had pressed E and extruded it, and that extruded 4 extra vertices are still present here. See? So, that is why I have to press Ctrl Z one more time, and now you can see vertices has reduced to 8, or otherwise we will have extra set of vertices left over in our model. This is a common mistake we do when we do modeling. That is why you always keep a count of these vertices. Sometimes we extrude it, we do the modification, and when we undo it only once, the extruded vertices will be duplicated and it will be placed as extra vertices at the same place. So, to avoid this, always keep a eye on the count of vertices. Now, I will select inset faces. I will select this inset faces tool, and if I drag it, now you can see again this is going to create the same effect, but with just one click. And in inset faces I can set the value. I am going to insert it by around 0.05. Okay. So, 0.05 meters I have inserted it, and now you can see the vertex count is 12. I will come back to the selection tool. I will press numpad 1 and come to front view. Let us start using this inset and extrude tools alternatively now to build this structure. Remember, for inset we will use I, and for extrude we will use E. Now, I will press E, and as I move it, you can see this is moving up. Normally it moves along the Z axis, but sometimes see Z is again a toggle button here. If I press Z again, see, it can be moved in any axis. I does not want this to happen. I want to move it only along the Z axis. If I press Z again, it moves only along the Z axis. So, I will move it to this position, okay, to the second step here, and I will drop it. Now, for the next stage, I will press middle mouse and rotate it a little. I will press now I, and I will insert it again from a value of approximately around 0.02. I have created a small inset. I will press numpad 1, and I am now going to press E again and drag it to match the backside structure. I have inserted it and I have moved it to the top, and I will leave the mouse. Now, again I will press numpad 7 to come to top view. I will press I and insert again, and when I am inserting, I will come to front view so that this inset size matches this inside structure. I have to insert it a little more. Now, since I have already done the inset, I can use the scale button, S button, and just scale it down so that it fits this structure. I will bring it till here. Do not press I again, then it will create unwanted extra vertices. Once you have already done the inset, change it using scale, and after this I will press E again and move it to the top till here. The other remaining details we are going to add it in our future classes. Then now here I have to increase the size. Remember, in inset you cannot increase the size, you can only decrease the face, but you cannot increase the face. Say for example, I will rotate it a little like this with this face selected. If I press I and move it, I can decrease it, but I cannot increase it. Okay. So, I will just decrease it. So, I cannot increase the size using inset. See here, I cannot make this value less than 0 and increase it. So, what I will do is, see now the vertices count is 36. Okay. I will press Ctrl Z, see it should become 32. It means that the inset is now removed. Now, instead of that, I will again press numpad 1, come to front view. Instead of I press E and I will press S to scale, and now I will scale it. So, if I scale it a little larger, I have scaled it to around, I will scale all the 3 value to around 1.2 units, and later I will then press E again and move it to the top. So, we got the next structure here. Now, for the next structure, I can use I. I will click I and I will move it, and I will reduce the size to the size of that structure. I will again press E and move it to the top like this. Then again I will press E and I will press S and scale it, and again I will scale these 3 values to 1.2. Okay. So, after scaling it, I will again press E and move it to the top like this till here. Okay. Then again I will press I and I will insert it to the center, so that it matches this size. Then I will press E and move it to the top like this. Then again I will press E and S and I will scale it a little like this. So, when you are scaling, if you want to scale it in a slower proportion or with lesser proportion, press shift and scale it so that it moves slower, and you can adjust the value closely. Okay. And now I will leave the mouse, I will press E and move it to the top. If required, zoom it, if required, shift and middle mouse pan down, and again now press I and then scale it down like this, and then press E and move it to the top like this. Okay. The other details we shall add it later, we are only doing the outer structure now. Then again I will press E, then S to scale it. I will again press E and move it to the top like this. Then with shift and middle mouse, drag it down, and then again press I to inset and insert it to the inner surface like this. Then press E and move it to the top, and then again press E and scale it. We shall scale this now again. Then again press E and move it to the top. Then again press I and scale it down, and then finally press E and move it to the top. So, this completes our rough structure. Now, press tab again to come back to the object mode. So, now we have created this rough structure. So, we are going to add the other details later, but however, we got this basic structure ready. So, what I want you to do is, I want you to practice this, and it need not be exactly the same. However, you try to match this structure and make this structure. So, with this structure, we learnt about the usage of 2 tools, insert and extrude. So, if I press tab and come back again, after extrude and insert, you have the bevel tool. We are going to explore this bevel tool in our next session. So, with this, let us press tab, and then now let us go to File, choose Save As, and in your folder where you are saving all your files. So, organize the files in the right way so that all the files are placed in the correct chapter 1 lesson files. Inside this, I am going to give this the name as 06 underscore brindavan rough structure, and I will save it. For your reference, I have also attached this file. Now click save, and in our next session we are going to explore the other tools of edit mode, and we are going to add more detail to this structure. So let us continue with our next session. Thank you.